Welcome back to Bodanza Disc Golf, where over the weekend on Saturday, I was able to take down another tournament, which unfortunately means I was right about some things that we'll get to in a second, but it also opened up a lot of flaws in my game. So let's talk about that while we play a couple holes and work on some parts of my game that got a little exposed during this event that I don't want to be exposed for 2 weeks from now when I should be playing my first Pro Tour event at the Kansas City Wide Open. Waitlist number 3, but I think I should be able to get in. The event was actually a Paul Ulibarri tournament. It's one that is part of his Power Disc Golf Academy's qualifier series. It sounds like they're wanting to make this like the secondary tour. We'll see what ends up happening. I think GoThro is also trying to do a similar thing, but GoThro seems to more be like, hey, we're gonna get the pros and just have different style of events. Whereas this other tour wants to be more for the amateur side of things, as well as like a farm tour, like growing up more talent. This was a qualifier for like the finale in Eagles Crossing later in the year. Maybe I'll end up going to that. Not exactly sure too much of the details, but unfortunately I don't have footage from the event. Unfortunately, but also fortunately for what we'll talk about at the end here. But because I do vlogs for YouTube members as well as patrons, which you can sign up down below, and this will be a part of the upcoming vlog this week, I was able to get just like my thoughts and ideas going into the event. Here's my thoughts going into round 1, which was going to be bright and early and lots of frosting snowiness. Morning vlog. It is tournament day. Saturday, whoops. It's pretty dusty out here. 30 something degrees right now. Stuff has been hard this week. It's been a long one. I'm glad I actually got my training plan in from Nick yesterday. I haven't actually looked at it. Didn't want to worry about it at all today. Don't want to worry about analyses, but just gonna warm up, not filming this tournament. Just gonna focus on calming myself every hole, just like I did in my most recent course conquest video at Prickly Pines. Just learning to relax the shoulders and then just visualize the shot and commit. I know I have a chance today, but I'm just gonna try to play my best golf and see where that stacks up. Should be fun. I'm really excited. Just can't wait for it to warm up for the second round. Got to get through the first and just get through every shot. It's the main thing. All right, we're gonna throw all my drivers and just learn them a bit, as well as the Sphinx. I need to learn that one a lot more. Didn't end up throwing this at all during the event. I'll get to after round 1 here in a second, but I have 6 drivers right now, and I think I'm gonna have to change that in some capacity, but we'll start flippy and work our way up. Not flippy enough. I actually got a form coach, which is another part of the vlog. I'll be walking through all that on the vlog and then bringing succinct, good videos to the main channel, but everything feels a little new. My body's adapting, which is odd, especially because of the videos I have to film later today. But first round went well. I ended up with all MP40 players, and it started all right. I threw my Cigarra, ended up parking a hole, which the Cigarra's a little straighter than I thought. I thought it was a little flippier. Missed a 40-foot putt on the next one and ended up having a pretty solid round. I got pretty hot there in the middle, and then I wasn't able to kind of keep that heat going down the stretch, which was a bit unfortunate because one of the things I realized during this event is if I can find a way to get hot, I can keep it, but once it goes away, I'm not really good at getting it back. So I got 4 or 5 birdies in a row, and then I got a par, and then that was I was like, okay, let's get it back. I was focused on getting it back rather than throwing good shots. And when I was playing well, I was just focused on executing the shot that was in front of me, which is a good realization to have because ultimately, when I play my best, I'm not thinking about score. I'm not thinking about anything in the past or the future. I'm just focused on what's in front of me, one cue maybe in my head, and then throwing the shot. Did not do that very well after all the pars, but I was putting pretty good. And in circle 2, I ended up hitting, I think, 4 of my 6 of my putts. So pretty good day on the green, all things considered. I did miss 2 circle 1s, and I knew kind of where my score was at because one of the things I realized during the round is I am too much of like a math person and a numbers guy, and there's too much time out on the disc golf course. I'm not gonna be someone, for the most part, who's able to not think about score, especially in like the first round, where it's just basically counting up birdies, and I'm not really focused on anybody else's game. And so I just kind of let that thought get into my head and then flow through. I would just say, okay, this is my score, cool. And then I get it out of my head, shake it out, and take a deep breath on the tee pad, and end up throwing all right shots. It did get to the last hole though, where I was 10 down. I wasn't really thinking about any rating or where anyone else was. I didn't really care at the moment. And I stepped up into that tee pad, and I was trying to throw a hyzer forehand, which was not a very comfortable shot for me at all that whole entire day, not only the first round. And ended up absolutely grip blocking it and shanking it, decided to pitch up and take a par to to finish at 10 under par, which ended up being 10-11 rated as of the official ratings update. Which is actually why this next hole, we're gonna just work on hyzer forehands. All right, what a round. First round is done. I shot 10 down, bogey free, shanked my shot on the last hole. My hyzer forehands have not been feeling good. Turnover forehands, all right. So that's good to know. For next round, I also put the Roman in timeout. I threw one shot with it today on just the long pushing hyzer. Probably should have thrown a driver or just thrown it harder. I'm not getting along with it, so it's not gonna come out for round 2. I don't need it. I have my little S-Blend Garrett Girthy Emperor that I can definitely throw in its place because it's pretty controllable. Ooh, horse cigar. My hands are getting cold, so I'm gonna put my glove back on. I put 65% in the circle. I missed 2 or 3 and had a lot of opportunities, so that was good. Circle 2, I put, I think 2 for 3, or no, 6, I don't know, 6 for 9, 4 for 6, I think. I put really good from circle 2 today. I made a lot of looks, a couple steppers, a couple just standstills. The putt feels good. I still just feel a little off throwing. I'm trying to get over nerves, trying to get over score anxiety. It'll be interesting in round 2. I want to make sure that round 2 goes better than round 1, or at least like I can stay in the game, because my head always goes for round 2 because I start thinking about scores. So that's gonna be the focus of this next round. I feel pretty good about how this one went. This is the rating. I have no idea. I haven't looked at it yet, but hopefully I'm in the mix. We'll see. Right now it's showing 10-10 and 1 or 2 back of the lead, so it should be lead card. Really happy with that. Felt like probably right around there. It didn't feel too much better than 10-10, but it felt a little better than 1,000, so happy. Got an opportunity to take this one down. I'll be in the mix, and it should be a good second round. I'm gonna get some food, film an ad for Vessi because I need to get that up today, and just try to stay in my own lane, in my own game for this next round. I'm correct on some of the mistakes that I made today. A lot of them mental, some of them disc choice, and I can definitely get that figured out. All right. And honestly, I wasn't even really able to dwell on my round very much, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, because I had to shoot an ad for Vessi, which you guys saw last video that came out, and I actually ended up having to reshoot it after the round. But I went to a coffee shop and edited that up, and then I was like, oh shoot, I have to get back to the round. And so got a little warm up in, my body stayed pretty warm, and I was starting on hole 1 for the next round, and I saw my buddy Nolan had shot a 12 under par, which is 1030 something rated, super solid round, and I knew that it was not going to be the type of thing where I had to really focus on chasing down, just again trying to play my game and thinking, trusting, and like having the confidence that like if I play my best, I'm gonna win. And it was Nolan ahead of me, had a guy, Josh Martin, also a good guy on the card, as well as Cole and Lucas Thorsness, 1,000 rated guy from slightly out of state. And I knew it was gonna be a bit of a battle, but I was really excited for that. I've dreaded those moments before, but I've been working on a lot. My putts felt good. My mental space has been doing a lot of work, as you guys saw from the vlog clips. And I just knew that it wasn't gonna be me trying to force anything. It would just be playing good golf. All right, round is getting started in 5 minutes. I feel pretty solid. I had to rush back here. I had to go to a coffee shop and edit something real fast for an ad, and rush back here a little because it got started a little faster than I thought, but I feel really, really excited. Nerves are a little low. I'm sure they'll pick up on the tee pad, but all I know is I'm just gonna try to play my game. Of course, I'd love to win, but I just want to play the best of my abilities, and I know that I can do that. And if I do that, I'll likely win in 2 back, but I'm not worried about it. I just want to have fun, play a good round, and continue being consistent. Sweet. And it actually started out okay. I started with a birdie, and then I ended up with 2 pars. One just threw the wrong disc. I threw an Envy, which I put back in the bag instead of the Bullet, which I do like. And I actually changed out that Envy because I ended up retiring that Envy from that bag in about 6 holes, but we'll get to that. Kind of gave it a half run and had a 20-foot comebacker, which was fine. The next hole, I ended up throwing that same Envy. I didn't realize I threw it 3 times. I threw it again, ended up being very short. It's a little deeper than the Envy that I currently have just put in the bag, which I'll throw on the next hole, which is this old Eclipse one, which I really love this run of Eclipse because they're a little lower shoulder, so they're very comfortable with my hand. Parred that hole with a long comeback putt from inside of a tree from about 22 feet because I skied that one again. I actually liked it out of my hand, so I was staying confident from that. And then hole 4, I ended up acing, but like a really good ace.
No, like, dude, I saw it the whole way.
What?
It faded into the left side of the cage and just nestled.
Oh my gosh. Let's go.
Let's go.
I guess that's why I didn't think it was in, because I was like, oh, it hit the cage and like hopefully sat.
Yeah, hit the good side of the cage.
Oh my. This is like in there.
chunked in there.
Let's go.
Yeah, sick, bro.
Because I threw a shot. It was a spike hyzer, 290-ish feet. And I just threw this spike hyzer, trying to get around the trees and backside of the basket. And I didn't even think it was in, because the basket, you can't see from here down, from where the tee pad is. And there were some people standing a little higher on a hill than me. And I threw it and I heard some metal. I was like, oh, that's a great shot. And they're like, no, it's in. It literally went the backside, hit the back of the cage, and then came back around and was sticking up inside of the cage. That ended up being pretty sweet. And it was also obviously helpful for score, because after taking birdie par, Lucas had gone 3 birdies in a row and he ended up parring that hole. So we ended up being actually the same score that round because we were tied going into it. Nolan ended up birdieing still with a great putt on that hole, and he was still 1 up. And I knew those things, but then I kind of just let myself drift into a space where I was just playing disc golf. And I really didn't keep track of scores too much after, which was very surprising to me. After the ace, I threw that scepter again. It ends up being a very straight scepter. Missed a long putt, made a good comebacker. And then I went on a nice little birdie run. I got, well, not quite. I got the next 2, and then I threw the MB again. Ended up coming out of my hands a little early, which I think, I could just have some more time with it, but wasn't worth it to keep trying to throw it during that round. In round 1, I'd thrown the Roman and come up a little short just because I didn't commit through it all the way. So I retired that one for this round. Those are eras. I think I'm putting the era in the bag for the Roman. And then this time I just retired the envy, and I was like, I'll figure out a way to make these shots work if I need it again. And I don't think I actually did. So after that hole, I ended up birdieing the next one from 20 feet. I parked hole 10, and then 11, I ended up throwing my Cigarra and throwing a shot that I thought out of my hand was perfect for this 380-foot turnover, and it ended up just hyzering out, and I was able to pitch up and take a par there before going birdie, birdie, par. And I wasn't quite looking at scores, but I knew that unfortunately Nolan had missed a couple putts that likely he was a little falling behind the pace. Lucas and I were kind of close, but I knew that at one point I think I had gotten a stroke on him, and I knew that maybe I was ahead, but I wasn't 100% sure. And so I just wasn't focusing on it because it wasn't going to change my game plan. He had gotten a birdie on hole 15 where I had missed a 28-foot putt. Coming back at the basket, ended up just juicing my drive a bit, and was not the best lie, and I should have taken a little more time to actually focus up. And that was one of only 2 circle 1 misses of the whole entire round, even though I wasn't putting well from circle 2. So hole 16, we both birdie. He almost throws it in for eagle, actually. Hole 17, he ends up on the box, throws first, and is about 30 feet short of the basket, and it's 380-foot hyzer. And I had just been throwing my red Emperor, the one that I actually threw a good forehand with way over there somewhere. And I've been throwing that really well on those hyzer lines. And so I just let me just rip it on hyzer. It ends up a little inside, but I also juice it because it's coming down to the end of the tournament. And I know it's going to be close. I haven't checked scores because it's not changing my game plan. And I throw it about 35, 40 long in the basket. So nice long hyzer. And have this putt looking down a hill and try to focus up, stay calm, and I do a pretty good job. I just don't fully open my hand, so I hit some chains and trickle down the hill. Lucas ends up clanging a putt, unfortunately, and I'm tapping from 15, 20-ish feet comeback putt. A little nervy, but was able to calm down on that one, and my circle 1 putting has felt really good still. I think it ended up being 93% for the day for that round, and maybe that means that's my only circle 1 miss. I don't know. I didn't miss a lot of putts, but missing that circle 2 putt, making the circle 1 comebacker leads us to 18, where I do check scores and see that Lucas and I are tied at 20 under par. We're both 10 down for the round. We both missed some shots here and there coming down the stretch. And he has the box, and he ends up turning over a drive a little bit. And Josh is actually in play as well. Josh is 2 back of us. And so it's definitely possible if he birdies and one of us bogeys, or both of us bogey. And I step up, and I take that red Emperor, and there's a little bit of a headwind. And that Emperor, I really feel like is a little overstable. And I end up just throwing this turnover with it. It's 430 to 440-ish feet. And I forgot that literally the hole before, I threw a 420-foot hyzer with that disc. And I could have just thrown a hyzer, made sure I gave myself an opportunity. I ended up turning the disc over a decent bit. Luckily, it was still safe, and I ended up pitching up. And Lucas has a 50-foot putt to win. He ends up taking his time, throwing a really good putt, and it just goes off the top of the band. And so I actually have 20 feet left to make my putt to go to the playoff. I ended up running. I didn't mean to run it, but it just was stay in the air a little bit, my layup. And I make my putt, dead center. Josh makes his birdie. So if I would have missed that putt, Lucas would have won, and I would have tied second with Josh, which would have lost some money. But we go into a playoff. And Lucas and I start on hole 1. We flip, he has the box and he throws first, and he throws a shot that I thought actually was under the basket. I knew it might have been a little bit right, maybe 15 feet. Winds up actually being 40 feet, surprisingly. And so I step up with my chicane and throw the best shot that I've thrown on that hole, and it's literally underneath the basket. And we get down there, and he has 40 feet, which at that point, to be honest with you, I thought I had won the tournament. He's a great putter, but I was like, wow, this is a lot of nerves. This is a lot going on. Like, I won. And he ends up stepping up and making the putt. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I tap in. We alternate who's got the box. And so hole 2 is a hole that he birdied in the round, and I parred. That's the hole that I had to make that first slightly decent comeback putt on to start the round. I throw first, and I have my PA3, which is a little flippy because I'd retired the NB. The wind is a little better. It's a little tailwind, and I'm just throwing a touch of hyzer just left of the basket, and ends up hitting right next to the basket and skipping to 10 or 15 feet. So the way I've been putting that day, I felt pretty good about making that putt, but there's still definitely some nerves going on. Lucas ends up throwing a pretty solid shot, but he sawed it off a little bit, and it almost trickles OB, but stays in bounds, and he has 40 feet to make the putt, but it's up a hill, and it's not necessarily the most helping wind. It's a little bit of a tail left to right, so if you get the putt flat, it's going to lift it a little, which unfortunately is what happens. He ends up throwing the putt out of his hand. It looked pretty decent, but just high the whole way, and it just stayed up. Went to 15 feet, and he made that, and so I had a 15-footer to win the tournament. It was a $100 putt, because if I get second, I make like $100 less or something like that. And I step up and try not to think about the win. I think about it actually initially, because it's hard to not think about it, and I doing similar things to what I did with the score in the first round. I let the thought come, and then I let it go, and I focus up on my breath and the chain that I'm aiming for, and I end up hitting my chain exactly where I want to, and end up taking down my third tournament of the year, but my first real event of the year, which I think is especially good because for me, I have really struggled in the second rounds of tournaments. I typically play them a lot worse than the first rounds. And this tournament gave me a lot of good mental notes, mental cueing, and experience, not only for second rounds, but also for playoffs. I ended up shooting 10-11 for both rounds is what it actually ended up averaging out to when the ratings got finalized today. 1,009 for the first round, 1,013 for the second was what it was in the moment. There was no trophy or anything for the event, but unfortunately, it did teach me a big lesson. And here's the thing. Unfortunately, but also fortunately, I was right that the camera did have a lot. The first event that I played that was like a full tournament this year, 2-rounder, was that B tier that I have the full coverage from. And then I had the full coverage from the next event that I played, both of which I averaged like 970 maybe. And for some reason, this event, which I won, which I averaged 10-11, I felt like I was similar play-wise, at least in the mistakes that I made. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but there's still a lot of room for improvement, things that I want to get better at and work on. Obviously, we did a little of that today, but it just goes to show me that focusing on camera at all during events is a no-go, I have to split it up. So I'm glad I ran that little test earlier in the year to see hey, could I do this? And it's an easy setup that I had for the little camera that I brought, but even though it's easy, it still was just a little extra focus every hole, or maybe even a lot, because I had to focus on, okay, where am I pointing my cart? Is the camera on? And it just breaks you out of the flow of just playing disc golf. So moving forward, you will be getting tournament videos, but it's not going to be every event at all. Even if I go out and win some more C tiers and stuff, I'm not going to be making videos like this. I'm really excited about what happened this week, and I hope to go and win a lot more this year. I hope to go and cash at every Pro Tour event that I play. I intend to do well for the rest of the season, and for Pro Tour stuff and for bigger local stuff, I will have caddies, and it'll be fun to see those rounds back. But I'm also going to make sure that I have a lot of really good videos for you guys that are not just about my tournament play, so that I can get really good this year and continue on the trajectory that I'm on, focusing on myself as an athlete, besides just as a content creator, and not as an athlete for the purpose of creating content, which is a lot of what I did for the last couple years. So moving out of that, help me get a win, and I'm hoping that it'll help me to continue to play really well. Whether it does or doesn't, there's gonna be a lot of learning along the way, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stoked that I was able to get it done, but I know that there's a long way to go in this journey. This is just one step along the path. Thank you for following it. I'll make sure you still get plenty of awesome stuff, and 4 more videos coming this week. And the next week, Pro Tour time. First one of the year. I cannot wait. Practice rounds, pros, everything. It's gonna be big. So subscribe for that. Join the memberships if you'd like. That vlog will be coming later this week for the last week and a half of training. And then it should be every couple of weeks, maybe even a little bit more here on out, because I'm now training as a strength and conditioning coach, but also coaching from a specific disc golf coach, which I think is going really well. And that programming is taking a lot off my mental load, because doing this and trying to be an athlete and having a baby that I split childcare with my wife, not easy at all. In fact, very difficult, some would say. So it's going to be a grind of the rest of the year, but it should be really good. And the next year will be kind of crazy because I'll be able to work full time again. My wife will leave her job and we'll move, and it's going to be awesome. And hopefully tour full time too. That was a lot of rambling at the end of this video, but I hope you enjoyed. Peace.